The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Thanks for watching us from around the planet, coming to you, as always, from smack dab in the middle of the fruited plain of the United States of America. And this book, Remaking the American Political System, going like crazy over at the website, DougBillings.us. Head on over there, DougBillings.us. Get a copy of Remaking the American Political System, where I talk about several ways by which we can reclaim this thing, this country of ours, from the Communist Socialist Party. One of the ways is local involvement. You know that. I have a friend of mine on the program today, Tiffany Ellison, local woman here in the Kansas City area, on the Kansas side of the state line, decided she's going to run for a county commission seat, a county city council seat, and she did, and she won. The template by which is interesting because it came down to a runoff in the age of stolen elections. Tiffany Ellison on The Right Side with Doug Billings, which is upon you right now. Are you ready? Let's go.
Hey everybody, my name is General Mike Flynn, and I'm here to do a big shout out for my great friend and one of the best in the business, Mr. Doug Billings. Right Side with Doug Billings, Right Side with Doug Billings. Doug is the future of the airwaves when it comes to independent broadcasters and podcasters. He is the new Rush Limbaugh. He's exactly what America needs right now, looking for honesty, looking for wisdom, looking for truth, looking for patriotism. Listen to Doug Billings at Right Side with Doug Billings. God bless you and God bless America, and thank you.
We are not liberal snowflakes who melt away in the face of tragedy, adversity, and challenge. We are a covenant nation under God, and His divine providence is not dead and it's not gone. It is living within each and every one of you. And you will bring it to life in such a way that the world has never seen before. We never back down. We never give up. We march forward.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Thanks, and welcome back from what I hope was a great, wonderful, and very happy Thanksgiving weekend for you. Thank you very much for joining us. We're right here. A reminder, DougBillings.us is the website. You can see all of the shows over there. We warehouse them. They're always free of charge. Hey, but we've got a deal for you. If you go over there and you subscribe to the website, you get a free copy of the book, Remaking the American Political System, getting back to what we think the founders intended for this republic and how we save it from the grips of communist socialism. DougBillings.us, a copy of the book, Remaking the American Political System. Ladies and gentlemen, we had a great experience with the midterm election. Now, I know that if you pay attention to mainstream media, and if you listen to the rhinos in the elected class, if you're from Raytown, Missouri, of course, rhinos means Republican in name only, ladies and gentlemen. But if you listen to just the mainstream media, the rhinos and the Communist Socialist Party, you would never have thought that we had a great midterm election from a conservative perspective, but we did. Throughout the republic, 194 wins to only 9 losses. If that's not a red wave, I don't know what is. Continually, throughout the last few weeks, I've been asked, what do I do? How do I get involved? What does this mean? How do I make a difference? Ladies and gentlemen, the founders intended that we, the people, run, lead, and manage this republic. We are the stewards of the United States, not the military, not even President Trump. No one person, no one organization within the government is meant to lead, run, and manage the republic. That's our job. That's us. The founding documents, inspired by God and written by men, lay that out perfectly. If we want to escape the tyranny, and if we want to escape the nightmare that's been thrust upon us, clearly and most specifically during the last few years, but really since the time of World War II, when the other side has become activists and got involved in the local level, and we good conservatives, although we did many other admirable things, we were not thoroughly involved in our local level. So that's the answer. That's the key. And so today, I would like to introduce you to a friend of mine, Tiffany Ellison, who struck me as interesting when I heard her speak at an event that we both attended. She was running for an office in her local community. I'm going to bring her on in a moment, and I'm going to let her explain all of that. Tiffany is a mom, a wife for 20 years. Her and her husband have been married. They've got 4 kids, 4 beautiful kids, a set of twins in there. She lives in Miami County, Kansas, which is south of where I'm at in the Kansas City area. I'm in Johnson County, Kansas. She's in Miami. And typically Johnson County and the state of Kansas as a whole has usually been thought of as a red state. And we've lately had a little, we've had some hiccups in that reputation. We're not so red anymore in the positions that we're electing into office. Whether or not those are true elections, whether or not there's fraud, we'll determine that at another time. But we have not done a good job in the local level in the state of Kansas in the last few election cycles. That's just the truth. And we can get into the reasons of all of that and whatever. But today, primarily, I want to introduce you to Tiffany because I think she provides for you an excellent template about answering the question, what can I do? What can I do in my local level? Now, clearly not everybody can run for elected office. Not everybody can do that, but we can all take time out. And I know it takes a lot of energy after a long day of work, for example, to go sit through a 3-hour school board meeting. I understand. I've done that. I mean, I know that it takes energy to just sit there and bear through that meeting and then wait for your turn to speak. I get it. But we have to do that. You see, that's what I mean on this show when I say we have to get involved in determined prayer and determined patriotism. That determined patriotism piece, that's the hard work of it all. That's the getting involved, getting up off the couch after a long day at work and going to sit through those kinds of meetings. So Tiffany Ellison has taken that to the next level, and she's decided that she's going to get involved in Miami County because during the time of COVID, she and her husband and her family, looking at the effects that COVID had, their government had, the city government had on the lives of their family and their children, she decided that she was going to take a stance and try to make a difference and try to understand what's going on, to try to teach others what to do and to purvey the truth about all of the madness that we experience. So having said all of that, let me bring on my friend Tiffany Ellison. Hey, Tiffany, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Doug. It's an honor to be here. Thank you.
So let's get right to it. You heard what I said about you, family, your wife, kids. You saw what happened when COVID was thrust upon us. You started a Facebook page. You got canceled off Facebook. You got a new Facebook page up. Let's talk about what you did specifically so that we can give other people a template of involvement. Tell us about, let's just start with you in general, what you noticed when COVID hit and what you began to do.
Okay. So first of all, I would say I'm one template. I think people that I am connected with are getting involved in so many different ways that there really isn't one template, but this is definitely a template.
Sure.
So yeah, Mama 4. I jokingly say often how much I loved being in my own little kingdom and being like, the queen of my kingdom, and was very much in control of what happened in my family, and working in one of our local schools as a mental health support provider for students with diagnosed emotional disturbance and trauma background. When COVID hit, my background is in preventative health. And so I knew something was wrong. I saw immediately the corruption, the lies, the manipulation, and the fact that this manufactured crisis was affecting disproportionately those in our community who were the most vulnerable. And I knew that they needed a voice, and I just couldn't be quiet any longer. And so started getting involved locally. Our Children, Our Choice came about pretty organically. It's a Facebook page. It was created by Jessica Town and Ashley Rankin. And they very quickly brought me on board. We started hosting events to connect people in our community that were of like mind and that were just as confused and frustrated at what we were seeing. Like you just talked about how government is supposed to be we the people. And what we saw during COVID was very much we the people were standing on constitutional truths and being shut down. And so the question became why and who? How did this happen? Because it didn't really happen with COVID. COVID just highlighted the fact that we no longer lived under the freedoms of a constitutional republic. We live under an administrative state, and that we're partly to blame for that. And so if we want to take it back, we've got to understand how it happened and start reversing that train so it's not barreling down the tracks.
Okay, so Our Children, Our Choice, but that got shut down. We welcome to the club. We've all faced that, but now it's called Our Children, Our Choice. We're back.
We're back. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
So
We got shut
Facebook.
down permanently last year for being domestic terrorists and threats to our community. And so,
of course you are. Yeah. Well, you just look like the demographic of a domestic terrorist. Yeah. All right. Now, when you met, these other ladies and the friends of yours that started this group? Was it a matter of just getting together at each other's house? You had some, a cup of tea, you had an adult beverage, whatever, you started to talk, and then it just kind of was like a snowball effect. What?
Yeah, honestly, it was more online. And so even though we were being shut down left and right, we really connected with about 1,000 people in Miami County online. And I say to these people all the time who are now my friends, I say, I didn't know 99% of these people when we started this. And I think that's been the really awesome thing that COVID brought about was very much God turned on his lights and then we could see one another. And that's been a huge blessing that that through the last 2.5 years of this, I have been able to cling to.
And so in the 2 minutes we have before we take our first commercial break here, and COVID hits, you've got this group on Facebook, you, the queen of your own kingdom, now deciding, wait a minute, I've got to step outside of what might be your comfort zone or something. What was the next step for you? What did you decide after all of the knowledge that everything that you knew, everything that you saw the tyranny, you saw the mandates. What was it that made you take that extra step to consider running for office, which you did?
My justice center is turned up way high, Doug. God did that when I was born. And so when we saw that this was not just an injustice by way of a virus being imposed upon all of us, this was children and their rights, their protection, their freedoms being stripped away from them. And so I honestly started with our county and our school district and just started raising awareness to the ways that our children's rights were being stripped away from them. And as parents, we were being stripped completely out of the equation. No longer did we know what was best for our kids, but the schools did, the state did, the health department did, not parents. And so that was really my first concern was protecting our kids.
All right, good. Well, I want to pick up with you. Have a few minutes to stay with me, Tiffany, while we talk more about that after this break.
Yes, sir.
You got time? All right. So ladies and gentlemen, stay with us. Tiffany Ellison right back. We're going to get into the specifics, the office that she ran for, what she did. Look, there was a curveball. We're in this era of stolen elections, and no matter what level, we're all now a little jumpy and a little on edge about whether or not the results were true. There's a story to tell, and I want her to tell it because there was a recount involved. And I want her to tell you about what she experienced in Miami County and how I know that many of you throughout the Republic are experiencing the same things in your communities as well. We have a new sponsor on the show also, My Patriot Cigar, ladies and gentlemen. Go to mypatriotcigars.com. That's plural, cigars. mypatriotcigars.com. 15% off every purchase over there if you use the promo code Doug. It's 60 or so degrees out there in my neck of the woods. At least it was the other day. Adult beverage, my cigar, out there on the deck. mypatriotcigars.com, ladies and gentlemen. 15% off with the promo code Doug. Stay with me. I will be right back right after these messages. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
We talk a lot about this in my new book, Remaking the American Political System. You can get the book at my website, dougbillings.us. dougbillings.us, ladies and gentlemen. There's an option over there if you want to sign up for the website. I will mail you an autographed copy of the book. Click on the link, fill out the form, and I'll make it out, sign it, and autograph it to whoever you would like, including yourself. And I will go to the post office myself and mail it to you. Remaking the American political system is something that we need to do, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the set of my show, The Right Side. I'm Doug Billings. Every once in a while, I indulge in a fine, good cigar. Patriot Cigar Company, ladies and gentlemen. Patriot Cigar Company. What could be better? Fall weather is upon us, crisp evenings, cool mornings. Perhaps a glass of scotch and a cigar. Ladies and gentlemen, I imbibe. I take part. I enjoy. And so should you. Don't overdo it. But every once in a while, give yourself the benefit, the luxury, the enjoyment of Patriot Cigar. A Patriot Cigar will make you feel not only more intellectually mature like this program does, but it'll make you feel more patriotic. Many of the founding fathers had tobacco farms, after all, so we're identifying with the founding of this nation, this republic. Patriot Cigar Company. Promo code Doug, ladies and gentlemen, gets you 15% off all purchases. Patriot Cigar Company. Promo code Doug. Get over there. Believe it, for the Republic. Cheers. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Have you ever heard of electromagnetic pulse, EMP for short? I've got a device here that I'm going to hook up to my car. I've got one that looks similar to it that I'm going to hook up to my breaker box in my house. EMP Shield, empshield.com. Go there and use promo code Doug. EMP pulse magnetic energy can come from the sun. It can happen in nature, but it also can happen from foreign nations who don't necessarily take too kindly to us. Can happen in nuclear blasts, things like that you've heard and seen in the movies. Now, I'm not saying a nuclear blast is going to happen, but this device, the EMP Shield, simple to install. Listen, if I can do it, and I'm no Einstein, you can do it. Hook it up to your car battery, hook it up to your breaker box in your home or your apartment, wherever. Make sure that you're protected in case of an electromagnetic pulse outbreak in this country or around the world. It will protect you. You want to be able to go from point A to point B. Get one today. empshield.com, promo code Doug. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to The Right Side with Doug Billings. Hey, I'm fulfilling the meaning of life by entering into your life to make differences for the better. You're doing it to me, too. I know you're helping me become the better version of myself because you watch the program. Today, I'm doing all of that with the help of my friend, Tiffany Ellison. Before I get to her, I want to tell you about the good people over at EMP Shield, electromagnetic pulse. Electromagnetic pulse, ladies and gentlemen, it can fry your home electrical system or your vehicle's electrical system. But if you attach one of these, now this is for your breaker box at home. There's a smaller version that goes on your battery of your car, your vehicle, that will prevent it from being fried in the event of an electromagnetic pulse. Because as you know, thanks to Administrator Biden, many people coming across the border now who don't exactly have the best of intentions. Protect yourself. empshield.com. Get huge discounts over there if you use the promo code Doug. Okay, Tiffany, here we are. Template for how to save America, how to save our local community. A mom, teacher, educator, healthcare professional. You'll look around the effects of the COVID debacle, the manufactured chaos that it was, the purposeful chaos. You start a Facebook page and a group, Our Children, Our Choice. We're back. The name of that, we're going to have it up on the screen for people to see. And now you decide to run for office. What the heck? How did that happen?
Well, it happened through a lot of prayer because I had been telling people and praying that we needed to get people on city council. And I kept going to the people in our community and say, we've got to get people on city council. We got to get people on city council. And then the mayor came to me and said, I want to put you on city council. So,
and you didn't really necessarily know this. It's not like she's a friend of yours. Right?
No, no. I met her one time during our fall 2021 election. I had taken up a ballot issue that was going to raise taxes here in Lewisburg, and so I contacted her and asked her to sit down. I wanted to speak with her about this particular bill ahead of the vote, and we did that. And then a few months later, which, by the way, that ballot issue did fail, and so she contacted me a couple of months later, asked if we could have coffee. And I thought, oh man, I'm really in trouble. Like, the mayor wants to have coffee with me. And so she asked if I would be willing to fill a vacancy on the council, and knowing that I would have to run a campaign if I wanted to keep that beyond this year. And so I prayed really, really hard about that, and ultimately answered that call and decided to run again.
And so you did, and this is, I've spoken about this on the show so many times, Tiffany. Local action has a national impact. That's not my quote. My friend General Michael Flynn says that all the time, and it's true. And so you run for office. You're in Miami County, Kansas. Again, ladies and gentlemen, just for point of reference, I'm in Johnson County, Kansas, which is a suburb of the Kansas City area, right smack dab in the middle of the country. I'm on the Kansas side of the state line, obviously. Tiffany is just a few minutes, just a stone's throw away down south in Miami County. So, okay, Tiffany, you run, you decide. There was a conversation at home about this. What was the reaction to the husband and the kids?
I have a very supportive husband. There's no other way to say that. He said, you're going to do it. You're going to do exactly what God wants you to do. So I support you.
Amen. All right. Well, and I've seen you speak. You're a gifted speaker. I mean, really, truly. I'm not just blowing sunshine your way. You really are. You're funny. You're informed. You're passionate. You're articulate. Very good. And I mean it. And I've told you that before. You're a good public speaker. And it's no wonder that you won, but it wasn't it wasn't easy. You had kind of what the Joe Biden candidate running against you, the guy that didn't really leave the house. He didn't really do any active campaigning. You were out going and knocking on doors and ringing doorbells, and you had a close race.
Yeah, it was very close. It was, I mean, it's as close as you can get without it being a tie. That's all there is to it. And we fought hard here for 2.5 years to bring awareness to what's going on nationally and globally, and how it is coming into our communities, how it's affecting our communities, and it's not always well received. Obviously, there are obviously those who like the direction that the globalists are taking us, and they want to continue on that path. And so the messaging had to be very clear. The messaging that we put out had to be consistent and continual. And so, yeah, I just started getting to every event that I could, going and knocking doors. I had a lot of help in knocking doors, which was tremendous. And at the end of election night, I was actually down by 2. And I don't know that I would say I was defeated in that. I just kind of felt like, oh, well, 2 votes, that's actually pretty good. I'm not going to count that as a loss, and nor would I gloat over the 3 that I won by. But it tells us exactly how our community sits, and reminds us, me anyway, that I want to get to those. It was a 211 to 208 vote. I want to get to the 208. I want to communicate with them. I want to connect with them. I want to understand what they're seeing from their perspective. And so, yeah, it was a pretty heated. It got pretty heated at times, I guess you could say. And things like, this person has an agenda. Talking about me. And that's kind of the trigger word, right? Like, oh, they've got an agenda. We don't want people with agendas. Well,
of course.
The reality is we all have an agenda. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about what our agendas are.
And so for the sake of the audience, so the election comes, election night, you're down by 2 votes. Now that triggers, I presume, a recount because it's that close. Does Miami County in Kansas have that kind of mechanism built in where it's that close, you're on automatic recount? Or how does that work? Because there was a recount. What happened to cause that?
Yeah, I think it should have been. It was under that 1% threshold for a recount, but we had to wait until the canvassing meeting. And the canvassing meeting is when your county commissioners and your county clerk and their board balance all of the numbers. They take in all of the information from their election, and they certify their election. Okay. And provisional ballots are counted during that canvassing meeting. And so there were 5 provisional ballots that were cast in my ward. And the reality, the possibility that all of those would fall to one candidate or another was pretty impossible. Down by 2, I knew I needed at least 4 of those votes, and that was going to be very impossible. But after that canvassing meeting, all 4 of the 5 votes went to me. 1 had been tossed out. It wasn't statutorily accepted. And all 4 fell to me, which put me ahead by 2. At that point, my opponent did ask for a recount. And that's available to him. He had the ability, and with it being that close,
nobody if it were us, we would probably do the same thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So at that point, there was nothing to do but sit back and wait. I will tell you, when I left the canvassing meeting, I had been there. I had watched how thorough and meticulous our county clerk and her staff and the county commissioners had been during that canvassing meeting. I was very, very proud of our county and how they handled this election, knowing that election integrity and the trustworthiness of elections was on the line. And so I felt very confident going into that recount. I had watched them do it. And so I knew how it would fall. We did end up getting 1 extra vote during that recount. That was due to voter error. So someone who had, and this is really good information for our listeners, this was due to someone who had asked for a paper ballot and filled it in by hand. And on the front page of the ballot, they had filled in the ovals. And on the second page, they got tired and they just started check marking them. And so the machine couldn't count it. And so that was the extra vote. And so I guess the message there is to voters, please be informed about about how you vote, because it matters.
Follow the instructions. Yeah.
Yeah, and those, and here we are with 3 votes different in this race. Every single vote counted, every single one.
And so the position upon which you now sit is what?
City council. I'm a city council representative for my ward.
For your ward, and you're in the Lewisburg, Kansas area. We have about a minute and a half left, Tiffany. So what's on the agenda for you, and what do you hope to accomplish? You said you want to reach out to the folks that didn't vote for you. We get that. We understand it. What direction are you hoping? We say the word agenda. We don't mean that in a negative way, but what's your hope for the council?
Yeah, so I think there are very clear differences between those who want to build a bigger government, a nanny state, who take care of everything for you, versus those who are trying to scale back government to give it back to the people, and make sure that authority really does rest with we the people and is not being given to outside organizations. And we here in Kansas, you and I could probably do a whole nother show on the non-government agencies and organizations that actually do have an impact in our local governance. So I, of course, stand on the side of smaller government that allows the free public to govern its own self. And I have a lot of faith in the people of Lewisburg that they are the perfect purveyors of their own destiny. And so I'm going to be supporting all of those things that include property rights, measurable tax budgets, and a government that works for the people, not for itself.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lewisburg, Kansas is fortunate this week. Tiffany Ellison now on their city council. We look forward to seeing what you're going to do, Tiffany. Look, let's stay in touch. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to see what she's doing, what she's done on Facebook, again, Our Children, Our Choice. We are back. You can find her on Facebook. Tiffany, any place else where people could either find you or look for information? Lewisburg, the committee, anything?
That's pretty much it. You can go to the Lewisburg, Kansas website if you want to find my personal contact info. But I don't do a lot of social media, so Facebook is about it. You bet.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, a template. There it is right for you. Tiffany Ellison providing it the way forward. Now look, there's many ways we can all get involved. We can do it, but our participation is required. So as you discern and as you pray about how you do it, I have a feeling that God's tapping a lot of us on the shoulder and saying, hey, need you over here now, need you to help out with this. And that's restoring the republic to the foundation and the inspiration of my divine providence, as if God were saying that to us. And I get that in my life, and I know that many of you get it in yours. Tiffany, look, thank you for your friendship, first of all, and thanks for being here on the show. You've made it worthwhile.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Doug.
We'll see you around. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a pack of blessings on your back. Don't forget to take inventory of those blessings. God bless you. For the Republic. Cheers.
The Right Side with Doug Billings.